I had visions of firing out quick videos while on location when I was contemplating the purchase of my 2020 iPad Pro. Let's take a look at how that panned out on this installment of my iPad Pro long-term series. The quick answer is yes. You can do a decent job of editing and delivering a video out of the 2020 iPad Pro. In fact, the opening sequence of this video was produced on the tailgate of my truck with the iPad Pro and sent to the MacBook Pro via AirPlay, ready to drop into the Premiere Pro project. I had an overall workflow theme that I was attempting to facilitate with the iPad Pro. Not just run and gun, but run, gun, and get it done, meaning shoot, edit, and upload all while on location. It wasn't really my goal to replace my MacBook Pro. I'd really like to tackle some longer documentary projects, and I'm pretty sure that I'll need the horsepower of a full-blown Mac for that endeavor. Mainly the inclusion of a USB-C connector with good support for connected peripherals, most importantly external storage devices. Couple that with support in iPad OS that allows you to move files around to different folders. Secondly, there was support for power delivery by a USB-C hub that meant that I could keep the whole setup running for days on remote location. Lastly, the release of editors that integrate with these new file services to edit videos. In my case, I chose LumaFusion. This won't be a deep dive into editing. My goal here is to outline the workflow that I've settled in over the last few months. One of my goals for this channel is to do a lot of geeky experimentation in cool places. I think this workflow will allow me to do that efficiently. There are also some projects that I have that involve documenting engineering processes and Internet of Things implementations that seem to fall into this type of workflow. Also, my brothers and I have an endurance sports related channel called Race 30. Pulling all the action video together from GoPro action cameras as well as drone footage works well with this iPad Pro setup. In summary, anything I'm doing out on location that will ultimately go straight to YouTube, I consider using this workflow. The main thing that I need is a solid USB-C hub. I chose the Anker 7-in-1 USB-C adapter because it not only supported power delivery through the USB-C connection, it had an additional USB-C data port. You find quite a few hubs that have multiple USB-A ports and a USB-C power delivery port. Few had the additional USB-C data port. That allowed me to use my Samsung T5 solid-state drive with the cable that I usually have with it. Plus I have an XQD CF Express card reader for reading internal files from the Nikon Z6 that is USB-C only. There's a lack of support for proprietary or out-of-camera formats. In particular, the AVC HD format that's native to my Canon XA15. I have to remember to switch to MP4 recording mode when I use this workflow. I typically use the AVC HD format when going directly to Premiere Pro because the editor handles that format with a little more grace than an MP4. There are conversion apps, but I'd prefer to just set the MP4 recording mode in camera when working in this workflow. My GoPro Hero 8s, the Mavic Phantom 4 drone, produce footage that drops in straight from the SD cards, so that's not a problem. Even files I record internally to my Z6 are fine. I only run into another roadblock when I use the external recorder with the Z6, and I shoot 10-bit 422 N-Log to a ProRes HQ codec. That file is not supported under this workflow. Realistically, however, I would not be shooting in that mode for this workflow. I did have hopes that I could shoot footage on location in ProRes, and that I'd at least be able to review the footage with the iPad and make sure that I had the shot logged in with the proper file name on a keeper. I was not able to even see the ProRes files. That turned out to be less of an issue than I anticipated because the Atmos Ninja 5 has turned out to do a phenomenal job at filling in that role. I'll do a future video on that. The bottom line is that this works well out in the field to get a small project completed and presents no barriers to producing a clean and professional looking project for YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. Would not be able to use this workflow for contributing to a broadcast or feature project due to the lack of support for the intermediate codecs that are generally necessary for that type of work. So that's a wrap. Look out for more geeky videos. If you like what you saw or found this video helpful and you'd like to see more content like this, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell.